Rabbim icabet kıl, Yirakta ana duasını. Ulug' Rabbim icabet kıl, Zindanda ata duasını. Ulug' Rabbim icabet kıl, Musafir yetim duasını. Ulug' Rabbim icabet kıl, Vatansiz g'arib duasını. Ulug' Rabbim nasib ayla, Ko'rishga vatan azodini. Ulug' Rabbim nasib ayla, Ko'rishga zolim zavolini. Ulug' Rabbim nasib ayla, Ko'rishga onam jamolini. Ulug' Rabbim nasib ayla, Suyishga vatan tuprog'ini. Ulug' Rabbim nasib ayla, Kezishga vatan gulbog'ini. Ulug' Rabbim nasib ayla, Vatan tuprog'ida o'lishni.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters, and welcome to another episode of Talk is Turkestan. We have a very special guest joining us today. But before I get to this guest, I want to explain what this series is all about. I'm starting a new series called The Happy Uyghurs, or The Happy Uyghurs. And it's basically a response to Chinese state-run media, where they make all these films and propaganda about the Uyghurs, saying how happy they are. And I've got with me today, and for you to see one of these happy Uyghurs in apostrophes, obviously, and with a question mark at the end of that. So I'm hoping to do a series of these. So if Uyghurs who are in this situation, who are apparently happy, as the Chinese say, could get in touch with me, I'd love to do many of these interviews. And basically what it is people who cannot get in touch with their loved ones and that want to share their stories. It's more than just a witness testimony. I'm going to be putting these people on the spot, asking them the tough questions to see whether or not their witness testimonies are actually real, and putting them to the test. Obviously at East Turkestan, Talk East Turkestan, we're all about, showing the plight of the Uyghurs. But here we're going to be, it's not just going to be, a soft interview. Hey, how's your family going? I'm going to be really asking the tough questions. So if anyone else is up for the interviews, please get in touch with me. I'll be happy. It'll be a pleasure for me to have you as well. But without further ado, I've got a special guest joining us all the way from Istanbul, Turkey. We have Nursiman Abdurashid, and you may have seen her on various media outlets. She's desperately looking for her family, her mother, her father, and her two brothers. She currently lives in Istanbul, Turkey. She has an MBA. She is an MBA graduate, working as a marketing executive at a company, a wife, a mother to a 6-year-old daughter, and a daughter of a family detained in Chinese camps. Anyways, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Nursiman to our screen. Assalamu alaikum, Nursiman. How are you today?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you. I'm good. I really appreciate having me in your show.
No, the pleasure is definitely all ours. As I mentioned you to the format of the show, you are apparently a happy Uyghur, according to the Chinese state-run media, according to the CCP. Could you explain to us just how happy you are? Please give us a brief explanation of who you are, your family, but I want to do it in a way we want to find out, why is China targeting your family besides the millions of others? But I want to know your story, and why is China targeting your family?
As you introduced me, I am a wife and I am a mother of 6 years old, and I have a job and I have to go to work every day. And besides, and I am desperately looking for my family members who are arbitrarily detained in Chinese concentration camps. And we lost contact with my family since 2017. Since then, I could not get any kind of information. And after 3 years, I learned that all of my family members imprisoned. Like, if you say how happy I am, and you can imagine, like, I have a daughter, I have a responsibility, and I can't be a mother who have a very desperate face every day, and I have to smile, and I have a job, and I have a responsibility in a company. So every time I step in the company, I have to smile, and like, I have to do this because like, besides, I am a daughter and I also have a responsibility here. So I just try to pretend a normal person, and after all the people in my homes go to sleep, and I start to become a sad Uyghur and who are crying for their family. This is my everyday life.
Well, we just had images of your family. Let's slowly go through each one of these, your mother, your father, and your two brothers. Slowly, if you could just introduce all of them. And I want to be specific. So, for example, before we actually get into the specifics, can you just tell me a little bit about this photo? Before we get to the serious stuff, can you just explain what's happening in the photo? Because this was a special time.
Yes. In this photo taken in 2015, and at that time I was prepared to go to airport, and I was get offer from the Marmara University in Istanbul, and all of my family members are so happy because after graduate I was worked at the bank a year, and I have a dream to study abroad, and all of my family members know it. And just because I just want to do something for them, and I choose to spend some time with them, and I work at the bank, and they support me after a year, and they said, and you finally make your dreams come true, and they all very happy. And this was the photo we took at that time. That was a happy moment.
And where is it? Is this in Kashgar?
Yes, this is my home. This is in Kashgar. It's my home.
Okay, let's go one by one here. So we have your father here. What's the latest on your father?
As far as I know, he was arrested in 2017.
So sorry, let's start with his name first.
His name is Abdurashid, and he's 54 years old, and he's a retired government official, and he's a businessman. And he was arrested in 2017, and as far as I know, he is sentenced 16 years, 11 months, and he's in the prison in Tumshuk city, just near to the Kashgar.
Why? What has he done?
Like, I got the confirmation from the Chinese embassy in Turkey, and according to them, and my father might have intention to attend terrorist activities.
Is this a shock to you? Is there any truth to this? Is there any evidence? Do you have any court papers, any anything from the police, any sort of official documents to suggest the reality of this situation?
No,
16 years is a long time.
No, and I was request the Chinese embassy to offer me the court paper or anything related to that can prove they have an intention. Like, as I said, and they said they might have an intention, and I asked them again, are you saying they are doing some terrorist activities, or they are preparing to do some terrorist activities, or they might have an intention to do something? And they said, according to the information we got from Xinjiang, and these are the things. And the paper said my father might have an intention to prepare doing some terrorist activities. That means there is no any proof, and he didn't do anything, and they just think he might have intention to do something. So there is no any.
That's crazy, because I can understand if there is evidence of you having an intention, but just so for my audience, the crime apparently here is he might have the intention. I don't get that. So it's very strange for me. Very strange. Let's move on to the next person. Here we have a lovely, handsome man, your brother. Let's start off with his name and what's the latest on him?
I really missed his smile. And he's my younger brother. He's 30 years old. His name is Muhammad Ali. He's 30 years old, and he's a father of 2 children. And he's a businessman, and he's doing with auto spare part business with my brother. And after high school, he joined my brother, and he started to do his auto spare part business. And he was arrested in 2017, and he's sentenced 15 years, 11 months. And his crime also same with my father, and might have intention to attend some terrorist activities and disturbing the social order or something like this. And there is no proof for his position. And I repeatedly request the Chinese embassy in Turkey to give some proof or some court papers, and that there is no anything for him to do. And I also don't know where he is right now and in which prison.
As far as I understand, these camps or these so-called re-education schools were set up specifically for people with so-called intentions to murder innocent people. But these people have been sentenced for that. I mean, even with CCP propaganda videos, they show these people who apparently used to have intentions of committing so-called a holy war or a jihad against the Chinese state. And these people were rehabilitated. But we don't, as far as Nursiman is concerned, Nursiman, you don't understand why they've been sentenced, do you?
Yes, I have no any idea.
Okay, let's move on. I'm guessing with your next brother, is the same crime for your next brother as well? Let's start off with his name.
His name is Nursiman Abdurashid, and he's 34 years old, and he's a father of 3 children, and he's also a businessman, and he was sentenced 7 years, and I had no idea about his crime, because when the Chinese embassy called me, I totally don't know what to say, and I just forget to ask his case. Like, they one by one start to tell what happened to my father, and at the end I can't bear to continuously listen, so I don't know his crime, his so-called crime.
And finally, we have, this one really got me. What harm could this woman cause? Could we get to your mother, please?
She's my mother, Tajigul Qadir, and she's 51 years old. When we was a child, and she was manage our flour factory, and she is such a strong woman, and she is so kind. When we go to university, my father started to manage the factory, and she back home, and she started to read the books, because when she was a child, she has no chance to learn how to read and write. So she was started to learn how to read, and now in the picture she's reading the book, and she was so excited, and she keep reading, keep
learning new things. And as you said, there is no reason to arrest none of my family members, but just arresting my mother is something so crazy. It's just crossing the red line. Like, she's so kind, and I never saw she have some problem with any of my neighbor, and she's very respected woman, and all of my village like in our village, people all respect her just because she's so kind, and she like always give clothes and money to the people around, and like she's so kind. And I don't know why they also arrested my mother.
So has she received the sentence, and what is apparently her crime? Don't tell me terrorism, please.
Yes, again, unfortunately, the Chinese government accused her with terrorism, just same cause, like might have intention to attend some terrorist activities. And she was sentenced 13 years, and I don't know in which prison she's in right now. And I don't have any kind of information. And that even I don't know whether my other relatives can visit her.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a family with no criminal record for any of these people. You have a daughter, clearly this family has no problem with educating the women of the household, because we have a young lady who is an MBA graduate, an executive at a company. She works. So this narrative that the Uyghurs are backwards and families are not educating their children and that the Uyghurs need to be educated is totally false. But I have to ask the hard question: have you done anything? And is this a payback for you? Are you involved in some sort of terrorism? Or is there some sort of crime that maybe your family had a secret mission to break away from China? Is there something secretive going on like this, perhaps? I don't know.
It's so funny. Like, I'm afraid my other Uyghur people who is watching this maybe just call me stupid, because like when I about to leave from Kashgar in 2015, the village officials came to my home and they said, never attend anything in Turkey, and they never go to any protest. And I even don't know people protest here in Turkey before I came here. And I was shocked. And they also said, never talk any person, even they came from Kashgar, and never say salam to them. And I was shocked why. And my father said, I don't know why, but just stay focused on your study. And when we came to Turkey, and as most of the people know, there is some parts of some places, most of the Uyghurs locating there, and we choose some different place just because my father and my parents tell me. And I barely go to the Uyghur restaurant to eat because I'm afraid, like, I don't know why they are asking me to do this, but I just want to follow this because I don't want my parents have some trouble. So I go to the school, and because I have a child, I have to take care. And back home, I take care of her and just focus on my study. And we barely go to the Uyghur restaurant. And this was the thing I was punished for. Like, I never attend any protest, and I never have any contact with anyone here who is doing something for the freedom for the Uyghurs. And I just keep silent, but as you said, and they still accuse my family just because I am studying in Turkey.
Now, a lot of our audience members are not going to understand what you are saying right now. What do you mean you weren't going to Uyghur restaurants? What does this mean? I know what you mean, but can you explain to the people what that means? People avoiding Uyghur restaurants overseas. What does that mean for Uyghurs?
This is the village officials tell me, and they said there are people, bad people, And if we see any picture, you stay in the same restaurant with them. If we saw any picture, you stand at the same street with them, and this might bring some problem. And at that time, I really have no idea about what they are telling, and I just keep quiet and I just focus on my study. This is the thing. And they said there are some bad people in Turkey, and I didn't see any bad people here. And like maybe they just afraid I learn more about my history. And like I want to say this: when I was in China, I never know we have a East Turkestan Republic, and back to 1944, and I never see my flag, and I never know my flag is blue. And I think maybe they afraid I learn our real history. Maybe I have like do something to awake my like knowledge about my history, and like find some people to learn more about. And that's why they try to cut all the connection from the people around. And
what will happen is you'll learn your history, you'll get radical, and then you'll start killing Chinese people, which you look so strong that you look like a murderer. Is that what they're, subhanallah, it's
yes, when I learned it, I really proud of our people in the history. They built like they built our country with their blood. And after 1949, and the Chinese Communist Party occupied our land, I learned it, and I never think I have to do something to separate something, because like when I was in China, like our parents just ask us to stay focused on our study, and like on the Ramadan, like when we are going to school, and they never, like if I ask him, they never ask me to fast, and they never ask me to pray. And when I said that, can I pray or can I fast? And he said, when you go to school, you can't do this. And like as a father, he don't want me to say like you can't pray or you can't fast. He just want to remind me that when you go to school, you can do this and do that. This is the thing that my father like trying to listen the government, and try to let us just focus on our study, and just keep us stay away from the targeted population. Like as we know, the persecution exists since the occupation, and the Chinese government always like unlawfully arrest specific target group, like people who have little bit knowledge about Islam, people who have little bit knowledge about the history. So my father, like they never teach us Quran. Like I learned to read Quran after I came to Turkey, and this didn't make me anything different. Like I just felt peace, and I just felt happy because I learned my history and I learned my religion. This is the thing, and this didn't make me change something else.
Are you getting support? You're in Turkey right now. Are you getting support anywhere in Turkey or from other countries or any other organizations or maybe the government?
No. I just from the first in the first year, I was pay my tuition by myself. In the second year, just because my score is high and I get a scholarship, and the second year I got a scholarship from the Turkish government. This is the thing.
Sorry, what I meant was with what's happening with your family, are you getting the support from?
Sorry.
Yeah, this is what I. That's okay.
Yes, like especially the international media, like from the UK, and the journalists always just contact with me, and like they want to like they said they want to share our story, and they want to do something. And like they always encourage me to stay strong and be positive, and this is the support I really appreciate for their support.
Okay. There seems to be a lot of videos coming out from China showing people dancing and re-educated, living happy lives, making lots of money. They've got jobs now. What's your reaction to those kind of videos? And you know what sort of videos I'm talking about. They go,
Yeah.
everything's nice in Xinjiang and we Uyghurs are happy. And what's your reaction to this?
Like, as I was in China in like until 2015, I know that's not the reality. But people who don't have any chance to visit or who don't have any chance to know more about China, I just want to I just want to remind, and like they had to before like on the coronavirus, and like the China spreading, like they are hiding the reality, and they just spreading the wrong message to the world, and this is how the Chinese media working. And like when the protest happened in Hong Kong, like in the international media, you saw the Hong Kongers protest for their freedom, and in Chinese media, you saw it, the Hong Kongers like protest to celebrate and like support the government. In recently, when there is a protest in Belarus, and like in Chinese media, you can still see the people in the Belarus, they are like supporting their president, and they are protesting for this. And this is the example, like before you believe or not about the propaganda video about Uyghurs, you have to score the reliability of the Chinese media. These three can be the very good example how unreliable the Chinese media is. And second, dancing doesn't mean people are happy. And this is the very stupid logic. I think their TV producers should learn more about the human behavior. Like people, when people sad, they also dance. Like wearing nice clothes doesn't mean and you are happy. And maybe you wear nice clothes just because you try to be happy and just try to hide your sadness. And this is the two general thing I want to tell. And when I talk about my experience, like I grew up in a small village, and our small village managers had a plan, came with a plan that we have to build 100 house on the main street, and the city managers, when the city mayor came, and they can saw how rich our village is by the car. So we had to build new house here, and there was agricultural land, and people refused to build new house because they have a house already. But the village officer said, you have to do this, and you can get credit from the bank, and we will guarantee this. And like we have 3 pieces of farmland there, and like we built 3 house. We had to do this because we had to sell if we don't, if we refuse to build a house. So like the house all built, and like we have a home, and we don't need to move our new house. And the village officer said, just put all the furnitures, nice furniture here, and when the when the media or the city mayors came, they can see it. Once TV program, like the news, they came, and I saw how they fabricate a news, like how rich our villagers is, and the people buy new furniture to 3 house, and they buy new clothes, and they teach them how to speak, under the help with the Chinese Communist Party. We become such a rich, and our old house is such old, and now we have a new building. And this is the thing I was witnessed when I was in China, when I was working at Kashgar. And there is another thing I want to tell is my cousin was arrested in 2014, and just because he was sitting with people and people talk about whether that drinking alcohol is haram or okay with the Muslims, and he was arrested just because he was listening people talk about this, and he was sentenced 10 years. And his wife, his wife said, I had to, like, there was a factory at that time in our village, and she said, I had to work at the factory. This is the village officials told me, because my husband was arrested and I had to prove I am okay with this and I am agree the accusation. And he went to work at the factory, and this is not enough for her, and she has to dance. Like, there is a programs every week and every month, and she has to lead and the program, and she has to dance and she has to teach the people to dance. And like, she felt so tired because his husband is in the prison and she has a 4 years old child, and she has to go to work at the factory from the early morning to night and at night, and she had to practice dance and show people how she's happy. And this is the thing I was experiencing. How you expect me to believe the propaganda videos that all the Uyghurs are happy, and they might think, and maybe I am wrong, and maybe my family are happy and they are dancing. That's not true. I like, people with some brain never believe such a propaganda video. Maybe the Chinese people who produce the propaganda videos think people outside the world they are also stupid as they are, and they believe it. But this is
actually, you'll be surprised. A lot of people do believe the videos because there seem to be just a lot of stupid people out there. But I want to ask, you were able to leave in 2015. You were able to get a passport and leave. How was that possible?
Yes, I am one of the lucky person, and I was studied at Shanghai. And at that time, we had to remove our as a student, we have to remove our ID.
I understand. Like, what you are registered in Shanghai, right? Like, your address.
I am registered in Shanghai. I became a Shanghai citizen for 4 years, and that's why I can get the passport.
Okay. You've used social media, I would say, quite successfully. You've got your message across. Could you just explain to us how important the use of social media is, especially when highlighting the Uyghurs' plight?
Like, as you said, there are so many people who don't know about the reality. Like, the persecution the Uyghurs face many years, the past 70 years, didn't hurt by the world just because we didn't talk. Like, we just keep silent. People like me, after I came here, I didn't tell anyone. And what our there is start to talk how the Uyghur women forced to sterilize, and my mother also faced this, and I never tell people. And the Chinese government forced Uyghur women to sterilize, and I didn't tell people. After 2017, when my family becomes a victim of the Chinese communist regime, and I started to talk, and the persecution and talking to how the Chinese government abused the human rights. And it's really important because, as you said, there are so many propaganda videos. People who never know anything about the Uyghurs and the persecution, they might believe the Chinese propaganda video, because as we know, the China becomes a superpower around the world, and the Chinese people become traveling around, and they start to everyone starts to learn about China, and they might believe China, not just because they are not knowing the truth. So this is the only reason I had to speak, because there are so many people they can't even tell what's happening to their family in back home. So out of my responsibility, and with a hope to save my family and save millions of people, I keep doing something on social media. But until now, I feel, to be honest, like I feel like it's not work, like it's not work as I expected. Like the thing is continued, and recently we saw a news that the concentration camps still expanding, and the people still sending to innerland China to forced labor, and the things just keep continuing. And sometimes I confuse whether like there should be another thing I can do, just not like now I just speak on the social media. I try to find another way to do something more, to just do something to stop this genocide as early as possible.
What's your message for people out there? What can we do? What can the world do? What can, a normal person do to highlight, to help your family, to help other families? Do you have any advice for these people?
First, I just want to say, like, if when you read the news, and you might see there are 3 to 5 million people are in the concentration camps, and it's just 3 million, 5 million. Maybe it's just a 2-word for you to read, but just imagine there are like 3 million people's life are destroying. Like, as you see, I am living, but I don't feel I am alive. And this is my life. And like, there are millions of people like me just walking around to find some help, and just not just pass by 3 or 5 million. Please remember, there are lives of fathers and mothers and like small kids. So I really hope the the politicians take it seriously. This is genocide happening in a nation, and they can't fail it, because if they fail the Uyghurs, and if they let the genocide happen, I am sure the current social order will be broke. Like we believe the existence of human rights. We believe the existence of the sisterhood and brotherhood among the Muslims. If the human rights, and if the Muslims fail Uyghurs, this means there is nothing I have to believe in this world. When people lose belief, anything they used to believe, and this will cause so many social problems. So every politician should think about this. And for the individuals, I think there is a lot of things we can do, like just start from boycotting Chinese goods. This is the thing. And spreading awareness, like you had the chance to learn more about Uyghurs. Maybe your neighbor don't have any chance. Maybe they don't use any Facebook. And please just talk with them and just share our story, because without educating the people about Uyghur plight, and the Chinese media's propaganda will work just because the people don't have any knowledge. Like spreading awareness, boycotting Chinese goods, and like asking people like a simple sentence like, how are you doing today? Like, and how's your family? Just something like this. This also means a lot. Like sometimes I feel so desperated and I feel so helpless. But when I see people doing something, when I see people said, just the boycotting Chinese goods is the only thing I can do, I will do it for you. And this will give me courage. This will give me to keep fighting for the freedom of my family and for the Uyghurs. So there are so many things, and just start with the boycotting China is something, and everyone can do.
I want to take a question from one of our followers here, our audience, Brother Subur Ahmed. He asks, and this is I want to ask you, Sister Nursiman. He asks, do you feel as a Uyghur that Muslims have given less priority to the Uyghur cause than other issues like Palestine, although the oppression is much worse in East Turkestan?
Yes, this is exactly how I felt. Like the Muslim world just try to pretend not to hear Uyghurs, and like the tragedy happening to Uyghurs, nothing less what's happening to the Palestinian. Like, just because people have a chance to learn more about what's happening to Palestine, because there are free media, but in China there is no any chance to learn the real tragedy the Uyghurs are facing. And like, the Muslim world, maybe it's easy for them to say something to Israel, and maybe it's not cost anything for them to like say something. But when it comes to China, they just choose to keep silent. And this is out, it's for sure they are choosing their economic money rather than their beliefs of the Muslim brotherhood and sisterhood. And this is not a Muslims should do. Like, when a Quran burned in somewhere, and the people around, all the Muslims around the world start to protest and express their disagreement, and like people get violent sometimes. But when it comes to the Uyghurs, like, Uyghur people are killed just because they are Muslim, and Uyghur people like sentenced long-term prison just because they have some knowledge about Islam. And like, the Xi Jinping, the president, also said they will change Islam and fit the Islam to social, like, communist ideology. And when Xi Jinping said this, no one sent any reaction. When the French president say that they have to do something with the Islam, and they have to like adjust it to this French society, and the people all around the world start to like blame the president, but they never sent any message to the Xi Jinping. So a Muslim can't be two-faced. They have to be like, their mind and their acts should be same.
Wow. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I want to thank you so much. I've taken so much of your time. As I mentioned before, brothers and sisters, if there are any other happy Uyghurs out there, I'll be happy to have you on to tell your stories. I do have a few more questions before I let you go, Sister Nursiman. But yeah, so we'll be doing this, inshallah. Get in touch with me, or I'll get in touch with you to get you to have others on my show. Before I let you go, do you have, if you had the possibility, obviously you can't call, WeChat, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, message your parents and your brothers. If you had the chance to talk to them, what would you say right now?
I might say, I'm so sorry. Like, I know my father do everything to support my study, and I know my mother, like, she said, I can do everything, protect you when you are with me, but when you are far away, the only thing that can protect you, be a good person. And she taught me how to treat kindly to the people around, and like, somehow she still protect me just because she raised me so well. And I know how my two brothers love me, and we experienced so many wonderful things together. We had a dream, like, we had a plan to travel around, and we had a plan to, like, my two brothers are very, they are like, they had a plan to build a new car, and I was planning to support them. But now even I can't tell them that I am doing something for you and I will save you. And they maybe they still, like, they still in the prison, they still worried about me. They might think I am also arrested. Maybe, like, they know my passport will be like passports will be like, the limits will be finished. And my father was worried at that time, and I was told him not to worry, but I am sure he's worrying right now at the prison, and he might think I am also bring back to China, and I might be in any of the prisons, and I am really sorry for them, and I didn't do anything exactly. I just keep talking, but I even had a chance to hear their voice, and I even can't any chance to say to them, I'm so sorry.
That's very interesting that she's brought that up, brothers and sisters, because remember, she has no contact with her parents and her brothers, but at the same time, her family who are in the camps or in the prisons right now don't have contact with her. And we'd heard of many, many stories where Uyghurs have been deported from various countries around the world. And in their mind, it could be a possibility that they think that you've been deported back and you are currently in a cell somewhere, and that they're not sure themselves, are they?
Yes.
Subhanallah. Sister, I won't hold you for too long. We can clearly feel everyone can feel your pain. I certainly feel your pain. Thank you for having me, for spending your time with us. Inshallah, I hope it's of benefit to you and your family. Please, brothers and sisters, make dua. I just want to quickly share your social media. If everyone can show your support by following and sharing Nursiman's story about her family. We have this tool called social media and Twitter and Instagram, and it may not be much, but this is what we can do. If we had the opportunity to take our freedom by force in a heartbeat, many of us would give our lives, obviously. So I want to thank you again, and we pray for you. Brothers and sisters, make sure you share this video, get the message out there, and until next time, thank you, Sister Nursiman. Assalamu alaikum to you and to our audience. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.